Hello.
Hello. Hello and welcome to another Raw Ascension live stream podcast, however you want to term it. We're here to share some more wisdom and knowledge and on a particular subject. Before we get into all that and help you with things you may or may not know, or more in depth of something you may already know, introduce to my lovely counterpart, Aida.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome.
And we are together. We are Raw Ascension.
Mm.
And so thank you for joining us. And this is live, so if you're watching, and feel free to join in and comment, and we'll do our best to reply during the live. So to get started, what we're going to be talking about this week is the do's and don'ts, ins and outs, tips and tricks and tools, and all of those keywords about investing in yourself and the pitfalls of that as well. And what does that mean? What investing in yourself, both energetically, monetarily, physically, and everything else, and how that can affect us as a whole in general. So I'll let Aida lead us in this week, this time.
Thanks, darling. Beautiful intro. So the importance of investing in yourself and having an energy exchange. And just want to go all the way back and give you an example. And that was from Dr. Usai, who is the founder and creator of Reiki, which is life force energy, right? And it's a healing modality. And many people have heard of Reiki. So if you've heard of Reiki, maybe hashtag Reiki in the comments, so then we can feel and start to engage in that energy, because energy knows no time or space or dimension or reality, and it always just is, right? So by engaging in it, you already connect with that beautiful energy. When Dr. Usai was on his travels and sharing this beautiful energy modality, what he found was he would have these profound healings with villages that he passed through, and he would spend some time there and he would do some work and healing with the people in the community, and then he would move on. What he found is that when he circled back to this community, people would, they would have transgressed in some way. They would have returned to how they were previously, if not worse. It's almost like that old curse of winning the lottery, right? Many people who have had this incredible sudden windfall has suddenly then, 12 months, 24 months later, often, and this is statistics you can easily look up, are in a worse position than when they first won the windfall. And the same is with this healing. So what he discovered was the need, and I choose those words very carefully, the need for an energy exchange. And the moment he started asking for a donation, asking for return on the investment of his time and energy, and transmitting it, the people's healing would shift and it would be longer lasting. So what he discovered, and what has hence a lot of energy healers have discovered since, and people in the spiritual community, the moment you ask for an energy exchange, people would, one, honor and accept. People do not value free, right? We just don't. And there is another shit ton of research, look it up, Google, on this, that we don't value free. It's a common thing within us. It's deep-seated within us. And when we first begin our spiritual journey, a lot of people are like, well, why? These are meant to be your gifts. Why are you charging for them? But often, and as Roy's even hinted at the beginning of this and in the comments, is we've invested greatly time, money, energy, and effort into our own modalities, into uncovering them and taking time and energy and money into uncovering these gifts, that the energy exchange is quite acceptable. If nothing else, the universe compels us to have one, right? And it's honoring both, because that's an hour or however long of my time in providing this healing capacity or this teaching or whatever energy that we're doing. So why would one expect that to be for free? Because it's serving you to a certain capacity, or so you think, initially, but it doesn't actually, there's no reciprocity in free.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, as Aida was explaining that, the one word that jumped out to me was gift.
Yeah.
And there's gifted mechanics, there's gifted electricians, there's gifted hairdressers. Depending on your field of your subject, your chosen field to work in, there's many people in that field who are naturally gifted at that thing. But because it's a bit more tangible, it can be a bit more seen. We expect to pay a price for somebody who's renowned to be a really good plumber, or renowned to be a really good hairdresser, or renowned to be a really good doctor, so on and so forth. You know, word gets around that they're really good at what we, and we'll pay the price, or we'll pay the investment. Because, you know, investment is a word we very, very rarely use when it comes to paying for things. We part price, cost, you know, charge. So just because we're gifted at being gifted in a general societal thing that intuitive people are more often known as gifted, why is that any different to wanting to be able to give that away for free because we're born with that ability? People are still born with the ability to be a mechanic. You ask a lot of mechanics or even electricians or whatever trade it is, they've been doing that since they were 4 or 5. Or let's take like professional footballers, soccer players. You know, they were born with a level of ability above mere mortals. And they get paid extremely handsomely for it. And it provides entertainment and all those things that those that really follow sport get to understand. I mean, I get up at stupid o'clock in the morning when there's a game on. I've done religiously since, because it's just something in my heart, so I'll follow it in that way. Point being is, in a grand scheme of society, you can look at it one way, it doesn't add that much, because it adds stress as well as joy, as in heartache and all these things. You know, it's not exactly a health thing at times, but we'll happily go and pay 28 pounds, as it is in England, or more, even more, depending on which club you support, or whether you're Brisbane or the football in Australia or throughout Europe, wherever it is you go, you pay for a ticket and you'll happily pay that. And then as soon as it comes to self-investing and investing in ourselves, which is often the realm that myself and Aida work in, because we're showing you parts of yourself that require an upgrade or a shift in perception, or whatever version of it is that we more often classify as healing. You all of a sudden then want that for free, or you all of a sudden question why we should charge for that. The key piece for us, and we'll get more into the investing in yourself bit after this, but the key bit for us is this is our profession. So we also, just like you, have electricity to invest in, have water to invest in, have shopping to invest in,
shelter, home, clothing,
our home to invest in, fuel to invest in, cars, and every other bit, and all the things that we need to facilitate that business that we invest in, and none of that comes for free. None of it. So because those are our investments and what we put in, we also then expect a level of, and also feel we deserve a level of that out. And the universe works that what you put in, you get out multiplied. So we know within our hearts that we've been doing this work consciously for over 30 years. And that's each, not combined. So you're talking 60 years, and that grows. And that level of knowledge you rarely find in plumbers or electricians, or apart from lifetime ones. But all I'm saying is, because of that level of commitment and that level of input and that level of investment, and that also includes investing in our own healing, then we feel it's an obligation to ourselves to set a charge, price, investment amount in dollars, because we're in dollars here, that if people want that level of skill from us, that's the price. That's our, and we do set it on competitively, because we set it on worth. I don't think there'd be many people that would be able to have that money, and then we're restricting who we can serve. And we are here to serve as well, but we're also here to serve ourselves and live a happy, abundant life.
As are you.
As is everyone else. So when you go to a healer and you want it for free, we are like every other industry out there on the planet. You get what you pay for. So if you want some healing, and let's say you need some guidance on money issues, and then you don't want to pay and you want to get it for free, what kind of input do you think that particular healer is going to be able to provide to you if they're giving themselves away for free? They don't value themselves.
Incongruent.
Yeah, it's inauthentic and it's incongruent and it doesn't match. So then you're going to get advice from someone that doesn't really know or be able to give the advice that you're looking for.
Hasn't walked the path.
Yeah. Hasn't walked the path. And I have this saying, which it's not, I didn't invent it, but it's no healer, and I've learned this through experience of my own journey, no healer can heal at a deeper level than the God themselves.
There's deep shamanic truth.
Yeah. So the further, like, I've spent 30 years going into my own shadow to shed as much light onto the skeletons in my cupboard as possible, so that I know I've got a bigger capacity and a more healthy capacity to help others, no matter what level of journey they're on, because I've gone deeper. And so if you're expecting something for nothing, that's the quality you're going to get. And that's what we're talking about in this podcast, and what is the real cost of investment. So if you want high quality advice and guidance, to talk a more colloquial term without going energetical, you are going to have to pay for it. So if you have to save up to get really good advice, it's worth saving up to get really good advice than finding people that only charge $10, $15, or do it for free, because you're going to get what you pay for. Yeah. And some people might not like hearing that, but that's what it is.
And on a personal note, we've both been there. We've done the free coaching. I have done personal readings. And what I have found every single time I've given away a reading for free, or I've done a healing for free, that person has then gone on to someone else, paid them, and have come back to me and said, they said exactly the same thing. And I'm like, thank you for showing me the value of my wife. Yeah. And that has happened repeatedly while I was transitioning into just being in this industry and choosing to walk my spiritual path and living my soul mission. So it wasn't corporate. And let me tell you, in corporate life, people pay good money because they value advice, they value structure. And the more they pay, and this is also a belief system, the more you pay, the more worth that you place upon that, whatever you're receiving in that moment. Isn't that funny? You have a perception that if you pay for something greater, then it must be better for you, or it's a greater quality. That exists in retail, that exists in the food industry, it exists in many different industries. It definitely exists in corporate. The more you pay, the better you receive. The same in this industry, my loves. Because let me tell you, if you go to a Tony Robbins seminar, you pay very well for it. Dr. Joe Dispenza, exactly the same. These are people that have walked their truth and know their worth. To work privately with Anthony Robbins these days is $1 million a year. And there are people handing it over because they know he's worth it. And yes, as much as we also love to do these and share these with you, and this podcast is free, so to speak, there's an energy shift that you can feel, the integration, the invitation, the activation within you. And it's like, oh, how can I get deeper than this? But you, and I, again, choose my words very carefully, you won't go deeper. You can't go deeper until there is an investment. And I know that's going to trigger the fuck out of many of you, as is my language. And you're welcome. You're welcome. Because I have met, like Roy, the depths of my soul. I go across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And I know there's nothing hidden in my cupboard. Right? So in order for that to happen, I've gone through it all, been through it all, seen it all. And the cool thing is, I get to share that with you and awaken that within you. And we get to shift blocks, challenges, belief systems well, congruently, like energetically across all time, space, dimension, reality. Because it's an energetic shift, not just a mind shift like a lot of upcoming modalities teach these days.
Yeah. And some of you are probably asking, well, you're giving this away for free. Where's the investment in this? Well, your investment in this particular instance is time.
Yeah.
There's the balance, because the universal works with balance. You know, the law of give and return, or in the physical realm, it's one of Newton's laws. You know, with every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Polarity. And what you give out, you get back, and it multiplies energetically. So we're giving our time for you to learn these little things along the way, because this is more as being a bit more general. We're not being specific to one person, we're being very generic. So aiming at the collective, giving away our time and his investment into the collective, it's part of service. And the universe will reward that, not direct, but we may or may not, in this instance, garner a mentoring client out of this, because they'll get to see our value. They'll get to go, well, these people know what they're talking about. These people have got some interesting concepts. I'd like to investigate that further and deeper on a personal level. We don't just do it to garner clients, but we're also partaking in our human version, that part of the modern world is to be on social media and is to do that consistently. Just to, because when we invest our time learning about the nuts and bolts of running a podcast, especially on YouTube, you've got to know about the algorithm, or otherwise known as audience. So to know our audience, to start being recognized by our audience, we've got to keep turning up. So then we schedule time and invest our time into growing our business, which every other business out there does if they want to thrive. And we want to thrive, so we have to invest in our business. And then at some point that starts returning. It's not an always immediate return. Persistence, consistency, and I know there's three. I can't remember the other one in the moment. They're also key components to changing habits. So to invest in yourself, to change a habit, to move out of a belief of poverty, or I don't deserve this, I don't deserve that, takes consistency, persistence, and the other one that I can't remember. And I've said it that many times. It's interesting that I can't remember the third one in the moment. But you get the gist that it's an ongoing thing until your reality reflects back that it's changed.
And that's the same with any spiritual law as well. Yeah, it requires consistency. Any shift requires consistency. Any great change requires consistency and persistence. Yeah. Keep showing up. We keep showing up for ourselves. We keep showing up for our community, because by healing ourselves, we heal our community. And this is an act of service that we do with great love. And we're dedicating this beyond an hour for you to also elevate humanity, because that elevates our collective consciousness. So yes, allowing yourself to receive is a great component of being able to give more. Yeah. So the more you give, the more you will receive. However, many of us have been taught to give, and there's an imbalance in our ability to receive. But just like a breath, you can't just blow out all the time and go, I just want to give breath out. You can't. You can't just take it all the time. It's all for me, 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 me. It's impossible. It's unbalanced. Yeah. There's a cycle of reciprocity, working with the laws of the universe. The law of polarity. What exists, there must be an equal and opposite. Right? The law of cause and effect, karma. What goes around comes around. The law of circulation. What you give out, you receive, and often threefold. Right? So if you're always wanting free, yeah, searching for free, asking for free, then that's what you'll receive. The the direct component of what you're investing is your own value. Yeah. And that can be in the quality of the food that you choose, the quality of the clothes that you wear. And yes, I understand that there's also a level, but the very best that you can do. And we're not saying spend over your budget or go above and beyond, because that's also trying to fill a void in your heart, fill a void in your soul that you are avoiding to go in, right? But do the very best that you can. And that often does require, saving up, as Roy said. And savings also is another display of your worth. And Louise Hay always said, look at your bank account. It's a direct reflection of your self-worth. And the one thing that is, like, there's a lot of people showing up on socials, on like YouTube and on Rumble and all those other free platforms and paid platforms, so to speak, is like, how do I manifest more money? Right? How do I manifest more money? But at the same time, you're also expecting, again, choosing those words very carefully, to receive how? By not investing. Yeah. And I know personally that I've always had a mentor of some capacity in my life. And there was a gap where I just didn't have one. I couldn't find one. And I didn't know what I needed one in. Yeah, and I'd been teaching this stuff for, the last couple of decades, as Roy said. And it wasn't until I discovered another mentor who happens to be in the US. And then all of a sudden my world shifted again and my abundance went up enormously. I was receiving money like overnight. My ability to manifest started like collapsing from 5 days to 24 hours. And, Roy can attest to that. And oftentimes it would be within an hour or two, like the way that I was able to like draw in, materialize in the physical realm. That was the moment that I started investing back in myself. Yeah. And sometimes there is a gap. Yeah. Because we're still open. So when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and I needed this other level of magic. And often it ends up being this reciprocity, and which is beautiful. Do not fear, because that's the other case of, if I give, what am I going to get in return? What is your intention? Yeah. What is your intention? And the moment you set your intention, the universe will provide for you in all of your capacities. But often we're trying to attract from a space of lack. And that's exactly the same in this field. I need healing because I don't have this, or I need guidance because I can't get clarity. And look, we all need guidance. I mean, we're just so blessed that we're ultra connected to spirit. And we can also support each other in our guidance when we need a little bit more clarity. And that's what we love to do. We love providing guidance. We love lighting people up. We love opening them up to their own gifts. Yeah, but there's always more expansion. As I always say, the universe is constantly expanding, so must we. And that does require an investment, time, money, energy, effort. One of those four, and sometimes all of those four in some capacity. And sometimes money can look like time, because you've got to invest in your time. Yeah. Or actually physical money exchange also required for you to accept, appreciate, acknowledge that level of what you will receive.
It's interesting that a lot of people find it a very big challenge to invest any decent money into their health that are currently investing in their dis-ease. That they might be spending $100 a week on cigarettes, for instance, or $100 a week on alcohol, or $100 a week on junk food, and then when it comes to having to invest in their emotional, mental health, which is often a direct cause of those previous three things, that they go, oh, well, that's too expensive. And like, but if you look at what led you to the point where you need a healer, or you need a counselor, or you need a mentor, count how many thousands and probably tens of thousands of dollars you've spent on your ill health that at some point you are going to have to pay the piper for that. What is it? There's a saying, if you don't start investing in your health in a young age, you'll pay the price at an old age. I've invested in my health more so through time by putting the effort in. I played a lot of sport from 17 to 47. My body has such an amazing amount of muscle memory now, where I won't need to do any exercise for probably literally 2 or 3 months. And Aida can attest to this because she's seen it in the physical realm. And then I go walking for a week and my body just goes, oh, muscle memory, boink. And then I look healthy and fit again, and the muscles are toned, and I love it. And I'm reaping the benefits that I didn't really set out as that intention. I just did it through joy. Now, not everyone's going to have that. And not everyone's got the capability of going back 20 years to redress that balance, but you can start today. You can start investing in your health today. Now, I'm not saying quit if you're smoking 50 a week and you don't feel capable of stopping to 0. Start by 1. Start at 49. And then when you get comfortable with that, go to 48. And then when you're comfortable with that, go to 46. And so on and so forth. Give yourself a couple of years to break that habit if you choose which, because they've also done research that after a couple of years, your lungs tend to stop smoking. Your lungs get a lot of their capacity back. In other words, the body's great at healing. Now, if you don't feel at this point in time that you have the mental capacity to start changing that habit, then invest on someone that can help you and knows the tips and the tricks and the abilities on how to break habits. And because it takes those 3 things, of the third I can't remember, persistency, consistency, and no, it's not assistance. Thank you, Heather. Someone commented it's not the word assistance. It sounds very much like consistency. It's one of those things. This happens a lot when I'm doing these lives. It will come to me after we've finished, but that's okay. I trust the flow. The universe likes to have its fun too. And so an investment isn't always a monetary thing. And it's sometimes like you can also barter. Barter is such a forgotten. It's actually becoming a bigger and bigger thing these days. We're starting to realize that, okay, well, my profession is worth this, your profession is worth this. Can we swap? You know, if you know, because if you physically don't have the money, but you have a skill, and if you're over 25, there's some kind of skill that can be monetized or bartered with, then, you know, and if that person, then you can exchange that way. Because sometimes what a lot of people need is time. So, you know, if you're good with kids and you know a couple that can, that one of them is a counsellor can help you, and then they haven't had a date in 6 months. And obviously they've got to trust you with their children, but there's a way to barter, saying, well, look, I can give you time that you haven't had him since the kid was born, and that kind of thing. And that person could be invaluable. So time is often is the energy exchange, or giving somebody time that they wouldn't normally have. You know, you might be good at cooking and you have lots of ingredients, something, and you can cook them, give them a week's meals like HelloFresh and those kinds of things. It gives them time. Then they don't have the mental have to worry about working long days and then having to worry what to cook for dinner, and then have to cook dinner and eat at 9 o'clock at night. By giving somebody time that way, it's invaluable. So the investment in yourself can come in different ways, and it's not always a monetary thing, but there always has to be an investment, because as soon as you want something for free, what you'll really do is reflecting your self-worth back at you. And what that person is doing in that moment in time is showing you what your worth is. And you feel you're worthless because you don't want to invest in yourself. And ultimately, that's kind of what I really had in mind when I wrote the title about what is the true cost of investment. So if you feel you're worthless, that's your starting point. The question, why do I feel I am worthless? In other words, where were you taught as a kid that you were worthless, and you've carried that for the rest of your life? And once you make that realization consciously, it's actually an easy thing to change through those 3 things. So I'm going to keep saying 3 things until I remember the third one, because it takes persistence and consistency. Maybe I'm being more efficient these days and I only need the 2. The universe does become efficient. Doesn't mean say it's any of a less of investment because I'm using less of the amount. It still has the same output. So it doesn't always mean as well that one healer is better than the other because they charge you more. Because some people believe in their own inflated ego
Mm.
and charge this amount.
Mm.
So there are intricacies to this investment piece when it comes to a purely monetary thing.
Mm.
Just because someone's charging tens of thousands of dollars doesn't mean to say they're worth that either, or their quality of what they're giving is worth that.
Mm.
That's where intuition comes in. So when you're looking for a coach, mentor, healer, it's also worth spending a bit of time and doing a bit of research. And if the socials, you might be able to see their past history of what they've been doing. And if they're claiming to be a healer, and in a lot of their socials, they're drinking, talking about partying, they're not the best healer you need to go to when you're wanting to improve your health emotionally, spiritually, and mentally.
Mm.
Because they're hanging around in realms that's not congruent to those things.
Mm.
But if you want to learn yoga and you go on someone's socials post and they've just got years and years worth of posts teaching yoga, doing yoga, then yeah, they're authentic and they're congruent. And they're likely to be a very good teacher because they know what they're talking about, because they live it and breathe it. And by initial perception, they also do the background work, because their body looks like they've been doing yoga for years. You know what I mean?
Mm.
This might come across as judgmental, but it's not. It's just doing a bit of research to see if things match. Just as I was saying, I've worked on my health. I'm always open and honest and say I'm very, very blessed that I did it without really feeling like I was working on myself, because I just enjoy sport.
Mm.
But I did take the time out and did the investment and took the action to actually go and play sport as well. So that was my investment, was time. Every Sunday morning, whether I had a hangover or not. And that was in my 19-year-old days, in the early days. But it was still every Sunday morning, every Saturday afternoon, even after I became a parent, I was sacrificing time with my child to do the thing that I loved before he came along. So that investment, and it is still there. So now he's an adult, and he comes and sees me, that's what we go and do.
Mm.
Investment looks good in many different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also reflects and appears in different pillars of your life, right? So often it's whatever we're valuing most in this moment. Yeah. Because there are pillars in your life that you'll have complete mastery over. And we've spoken about health. Yeah, we've spoken about money. We've spoken about livelihood, which is work. We've spoken about your career and your soul purpose can be very different to start with. Yeah, how you earn your money, so to speak, can be very different to what you're here to do, your soul mission. Yeah, and at a certain stage, like Roy and I, we're very blessed where we get to do that. We get to live our soul mission and make it a source of our livelihood, because we have done the work in order to create that, and that's a beautiful piece. But there's all these pillars in your life that we can reflect upon and invest in. So what are you investing in? Yeah. If part of your health is, like Roy was saying, if you've not been paying attention to your health and you eat junk food and you drink, and no judgment from us, by the way, this is questions for you to be reflective of internally. Yeah. Because the other thing about judgment is whatever you're judging others is a reflection of yourself. Yeah. See that quite powerfully. Quite powerfully. If you're judging someone else for drinking and partying and how dare they show up that way, or look at that, they look at their weight, whether they're underweight, whether they're overweight, because let me tell you, people that are underweight or lean or thin are also highly criticized, yeah, by others. So men, women, we can be very judgmental. The key piece is to change it to observation without attachment, without energy, without emotion, right? Because in all areas of your life, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, and sexually, is where we're wanting, desiring to achieve soul mastery or self-mastery, which takes the self-awareness, which takes the self-reflection, the self-discipline, and the self-responsibility. And attuning to those and investing in each part of those areas is how we can really embrace this human experience and have a more fulfilled life. And we are living an incredibly abundant life in doing so. And that is what we're here to do, is to have fun, to have pleasure, to have experiences. That's why we're human beings. Yeah, it's a beautiful part of why we're here. And part of that is reciprocity, is the investment piece in yourself and in others.
Yeah. Investment is a very key part of our lives. Whatever it is you're doing, you're always investing in something.
Yeah.
And then it's about being conscious on what you're investing in. So as Aida said about, it can be very judgmental, but when you disattach and you go to a place of observation, you're still recognizing what that person's doing, but you're not doing it from a judgmental point, which is, like Aida said, it's part of you. You're observing it, which means then you're open to learning from it. And sometimes, and oftentimes, the universe teaches how not to do something. The universe is actually very good at teaching us how not to do something first. So when they give us the power of it, the conscious power of it, we know to respect it so that we don't destroy ourselves and others if it involves helping others with whatever that is. So when we observe on how not to do it, it teaches us that, okay, well, that's great, because I'm not going to make that mistake now. I can move beyond that quite quickly. And it's okay not to have to make a mistake to learn it, even though as humans we tend to learn by mistakes.
Experience.
Yeah, but we can learn from others' mistakes too. So a classic thing that's happening a lot at the moment throughout the mentoring and coaching industry is there's a lot of cross-gender teachings. So there's women's running men's groups, whereas and I can speak from experience here, is that there's not a woman on the planet that can truly understand how a man thinks, and there's not a man on the planet that can truly understand how a woman thinks. Now, again, I was born gifted, I'm highly gifted, which means I'm very in tune and tapped into my feminine side. And there's still times, even on a daily basis, where Aida's saying things, doing things, and it makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever and drives me crazy. Simply because I cannot comprehend how a woman's brain works. And it's not because she's a different individual to me. I've experienced this with other females, that I'm just like, it makes no sense how women's brains works. Now, men's brains are a little bit more simplistic, but there's still many times where, I'm sure Aida can attest to this, that she's probably going, what were you thinking? Like, why are you doing it that way? And we never get to understand. So when you're trying to get into the depths of the shadow of a man from the opposite gender, there's going to be a big chunk of that journey you're not going to understand. So if you don't understand it and can't make sense of it, how can you help people evolve out of it? Now, this is why we work together. So we can cover both bases, so that as much as Aida might be giving really great advice to a guy from her perspective, because it's always going to be from her perspective and her teachings, even though she's had brothers, fathers, and many male friends, she still doesn't have that inside the mind perspective of how the mechanics actually work. Whereas I can then cover that, going, yeah, Aida got in the ballpark, now let me speak to it in a man's terms, so that you will get it, so that it will sink into the depths, and then you can change. So together we cover the bases, and it's exactly the same principle the other way around. So please take that in mind, that if you're wanting to run circles that's the opposite sex, retreats, whatever it is, that please employ the help of someone who's actually that gender, so they can get the deep insights. And we tend, and as much as we may have mother and father wounds, men tend to trust, at the core, we tend to listen to men more than we do women, and women tend to listen to women more than they do men. And that's just natural human nature.
When we've healed.
Yeah, when we've healed, of course, yeah. That's why I said without the mother and father wound, of which we all carry. And even when we've healed a lot of it, we still carry it. There's still always layers of that coming up. It's just that when we've healed the real big stuff, when we've invested our time into facing those skeletons and facing our mother and father from an adult perspective, and speaking our mind, whether it's to them literally face to face and healing the wounds that way, or whether it's doing it posthumously, basically investing ourselves and honoring ourselves, that we can become our own adult and we stop being that wounded inner child, so that we can lead a very fulfilled life that becomes abundant, because we're not in a place of needing that love from mother/father. We create some beautiful things in the world, and we lift the vibration of the planet. When we heal ourselves, we heal the world.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. But that's like, it's a big piece. And, you know, I've seen a lot of men try and teach divine feminine embodiment. And it's just like, I'm seriously going, what the fuck? And I've seen women try and run men's retreats and coaching men. And like, what the fuck? Right. And I get, like, again, being incredibly gifted, I have incredible insights and I get to share exactly what that person needs in that one moment. But I can't teach a man to be a man. And fuck, he cannot teach me to be a woman. Right? There's just no way. No way. And I've seen it. I've even joined like groups to feel that. I've even engaged a mentor who did that. And I'm like, dude, you're just missing the mark. Yeah. You're sharing it from a masculine point of view on how you'd like the divine feminine to show up for you, right? Or in the collective. But in no means do you understand the epitome of what this energy is being. Right? And in that, like, okay, that's a whole other.
Yeah, it's whole podcast.
But then in choosing to like receive or invest in yourself, you can't be in two roads at the same time. Right? This is the power of choice. And Ray like alluded to this earlier. Like, we always have the power of choice as a human being. You can't pick the road of health and wellness and then abuse your body and treat it like a tip, right? You can't employ both. You can't run both at the same time. It's incongruent, it's inauthentic, and there's a lack of integrity. Right?
For me, interject, it's very simply known as practice what you preach.
Right? Like the power in that. So choose your pathway. But often when we start a pathway, we're opening up with, you know, even if we're searching for free or come across this and going, okay, this is interesting. There's bits of it that resonate, bits of it that are like pushing lots of triggers and your welcome activations, as I like to call them. You can't run both pathways. You can't be wanting to manifest more money, but not investing in any, because the universe gives you what you circulate, gives more, right? Law of karma, cause and effect. You give, you receive. Open to receiving and open to giving. And it doesn't have to be the same value, right? Because what you give out, the universe rewards threefold. I have a belief system, it's 1,000-fold. Like, that one suits me. I love it, and it absolutely works for me, and I'm going to keep that belief system because that works both ways, works in both good deeds and not so good. So it makes me very conscious of what I'm circulating. Yeah. And of course, I'm still human, and there are times where I fuck up. I'm human, right? And then I show up, and I've learned from that, and then I grow and expand. Yeah. But if you're choosing a pathway of wanting to learn the law of attraction, I'm wanting to invest, I'm wanting to learn how to manage my money better, I'm wanting to attract more money, then it will require some form of investment on your part. Yeah. That is time, money, energy, and effort. And it is all four of those. Because you could be searching, you know, we've created shortcuts for you now. We've done the whole spiritual awakening. We've been fumbling around the dark because there were no teachers for us back in the day. Well, there's a plethora of teachers now, and they're turning up at every moment. Like at Facebook, every time you open, there's another pop-up coach, right? Who's had no experiences, that's done a week course, and now they're a coach, a life coach, and they're 20. And I'm like,
yeah.
Right? There's that incongruency too. They can definitely coach other 20-year-olds and maybe get them on the right path and maybe share some of their experiences and how they got to where they are today.
Yeah. I feel it's someone like Gary Vaynerchuk who said,
oh, yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, who said about like, make sure you hire an expert.
Yeah.
And it was, he was needing marriage advice. And his dad said, I'll give you some advice. You know, why would I take advice from you? You've been divorced 3 times. You are not an expert on marriage, so I'm not going to listen to you.
Quite.
And that's to his own parent, as hurtful as parent probably felt. You know, that probably thought, well, that's a bit harsh, but it's true. Harsh but true. Do your research. Look into that person. See if you can, as best as you can, depending on what you can research. Because some people can be quite private, and that's okay. but see if they're an expert. So if you're an expert in parenting, they don't have kids. They're not an expert. Don't fall for the, well, I've got nephews and nieces. They're not an expert. You need kids to be an expert in parenting.
Or to be able to provide.
Yeah, because you just don't know how they work, how kids are from day to day without being a parent. Oh, I've got a dog. Well, then coach people on how to successfully raise a pet. You know, you get the gist that I'm coming at here. Investing is a permanent state of being. So here's a technique for you, for those that are watching, and for those that are watching the live replay and all that kind of thing. Get yourself a little diary, little A5 book. Write on a daily basis what you're investing in. So write down what you've eaten. For if you're 3 meals a day, you eat 3 meals. Write on what you've spent your physical world money on that day, and do it for 7 days. And then at the end of the week, look and see how much you've spent, and then categorize it. Oh, is this investing in beneficial things? Or is this investing in dis-ease? Or, is this investing in health? And then you'll see where your investments are. Then do it for a month and see if that pattern remains. And that takes a month, like 4 weeks of your time of writing those things down. Then gives you a great idea of where your life will be in 12 months' time, because that's your consistency, that's your commitment, and you keep doing that. There's your persistence, and then you're expecting X, Y, and Z from your life, and this is A, B, and C, and they don't match. X, Y, and Z are never going to turn up until you change A, B, C to look like X, Y, Z.
I love it. It's like that saying, like, have a champagne taste on a beer budget. So give up the beer, save up, and have a bottle of champagne on occasion. And on occasion, not at the back regularly, right? So it's whatever you're choosing to focus on, whatever you're placing your intention on, is what you'll receive. So that great insight when I do my resets, my spiritual resets with people, it's like, this is exactly what we get them to do, so that they can bring the self-reflection in. I don't know, and a lot of people are like, I don't know where all my money goes. Well, keep a money journal. It's very, very simple. Every single cent that comes out of your account, every single thing that you tap, because it's so easy to just tap, 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 tap. There's no physical money, or rarely these days. I like to circulate physical money these days because it still shows an investment piece for me. And also shifting that this is an investment in my health, in my wealth, in my spirituality, in my hierarchy of values. As mine are freaking clear as anything. I know exactly my values, and everything that I do aligns to those. And yes, we love our health. And occasionally we'll go out and we'll have a treat. And we give ourselves full permission to do so. But that is it's not the norm. It's it's an occasional piece rather than the everyday piece.
Yeah.
But that's what shifting habits is all about. And that takes consistency and persistence, as does any ritual and any daily habit. And investing in yourself will become a daily habit, because you are investing in every moment of every day. Just what you are choosing, and this is what that level of consciousness will bring to you. And watch it shift your life once you have that self-awareness, and what you are circulating, what you are investing in time, money, energy, and effort in all of those pillars of your life, in your community, in your livelihood, in your career, in your relationships. Yeah.
Change is a long-term game.
It's a one consistent piece.
If you're going to see a coach that, they can change your whole life in 3 months, they're not an expert, because they haven't done anything. If they believe they've changed their life in 3 months, they're not doing the work. They're not being persistent or consistent. They're doing it for a short-term gain to make it look like they're doing it.
Play the long game.
So again, if you're doing any research, see where they were 6 months ago, and then see where they were in 3 months after that. And again, like, if your mind's all over the place and your health's all over the place, ask yourself, okay, when was the last time I went and saw, whether you prefer a counselor or a mentor or a healer or Reiki practitioner, whatever your kinesiologist, whatever it is, and you only see them once a year, and your head's, because the human brain's, I don't know, this is probably nowhere near it, but it's something like 100,000 thoughts a day. I actually think it's probably that in a minute, but
Yeah, I think
or an hour or something. I know it's,
80,000.
the numbers ridiculous. The numbers is really high, and then you're only tending to that once a year for an hour, and even then you're saying to yourself, God, $200 for a cat's not worth it. And there's the balance. Like you're putting it once every year, and your mind's all over the place. Well, that's why. Whereas you start redressing that balance, and our mentoring clients will see us, depending on the program they're on, they're either seeing us once a week or once every couple of weeks. In other words, they're tending to their future every couple of weeks minimum, or they're tending to their future once a week. So, in other words, they're investing in themselves, they're investing in their future, they're investing in their ability to grow at minimum once a week. Now, my one-on-one mentoring clients also have access to me during that week. So if they have really pertinent questions, or they just want to share, because they're allowed to do that too, is they probably, sometimes that's 2 or 3 times in a week. So imagine the growth that's going to create. Exponential, because they're putting the long-term work in it. And then the good thing is, because the way it works, it's like, well, after that, they've then got all these techniques that then they can apply on a daily basis, or whenever they feel they want to, in regularity, that then creates further change. And then they're self-aware, for want of a better term. In other words, their healing journey becomes very conscious, and they own their healing journey, which ironically does mean they need less guidance, because they're more consciously can guide themselves and in tune. And then when they get to a level they don't recognize, they will come back, because they'll go, well, I know that person can get me to that next level, but then you might not see them for a couple of years, which is great. And that's how I want to empower people. And that's what it is. It's empowerment. They've invested in their own empowerment. And we're here to empower people, and we've done that by learning to empower ourselves first. Just, so many people are social media coaches, and then behind closed doors, they're just not practicing what they preach. Or they're bitching about their clients all the time, or they're bitching about their friends, or they're complaining that they're having to spend $60 on investing in coaching methods or whatever it is. And then it's like, well, then how do you feel the energy is? Because everything is energy, and ultimately, as humans, we're energetic beings. We can feel energy at our core. Our intuition nags at us sometimes, and often we will get in a non-judgmental space, this person's talking utter bullshit, and I can feel it. I don't know why, their words or whatever it is. I just feel that this person isn't honest. And then 2 months later, something pops up, and you go, yeah, now I know why I felt that 2 months ago.
I just want to go back to that point where if you're looking at someone's life 3 months ago and you see a massive shift, that's great as well, right? But that's the shift that they can teach you, that bit, right? And it's what you see ongoing. So if that's the shift that you're wanting, then that's cool. So I'd like to, because we've seen profound shifts in our clients, and we've also experienced profound shifts that can happen that quickly. Very good at bending time. Very good at it. So that being said, but it's the congruency, it's a consistency piece. So what are they continuing to do? Because, there's like Mike Tyson and George Foreman, were massive boxers, and they're still like living off that one fight. Or Muhammad Ali, still living off that one fight. Back then, like, yeah, cool. And that's great. And you're an incredible professional in your field and in your league at that time. But what have you been doing since? And yes, of course, for them, they would have been great at maybe coaching boxing directly afterwards. But now, 50 years on, they've moved on to different and bigger things.
Selling grills.
For George Foreman, right? Or Muhammad's obviously passed. But, what else are these people doing since then? And some of them have become health and wellness coaches, which is phenomenal, because that has been the consistency. And of course, they cannot continue to be that high-level professional boxer athlete at that time. But they've spent and continue to focus their whole life on their health and wellness. There's some phenomenal coaches out there. Deepak Chopra, for one, who has done his whole life on Ayurveda, yoga, practitioner, doctor who works from both angles his whole life. So when he's sharing his knowledge on health and wellness, he's someone I believe, and certainly about meditation, he's someone who has lived that path for the whole time, not someone who drops in and out, who comes into the world and out again, because that is the incongruent piece. It's like, and that's also the bit that you spoke to, is what are they doing behind the scenes? You will not see Deepak Chopra like chugging back, having parties and raves on the weekend, and it's just not his lifestyle. Yeah, not his lifestyle. But you want that consistency and the level of professionalism as well. And listen to how people speak about others when they're with you and when they're not with you, and how they show up and what they're sharing. With social media, everything's on, like everyone loves to share their lives on socials, right? How do they speak about others? A very poignant point. Yeah, in private, because I've seen and I've heard some of those conversations, and I'm like, I would not go near you, because if they're talking about somebody else like that, let me tell you, they're talking about you like that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's disgraceful for a lot of it. So and the power of words is also your investment piece.
And as I just said, we can be judgmental. We all can be. It's part of our human nature.
Even to say.
Yeah. It's just our ego going, oh, that person scares me because for whatever reason that we don't need to really get into. But quickly going back to, that investing, the overnight success takes 10 years.
It's a long time.
It might not take that long, but an overnight success just doesn't happen. They've been doing so much work behind the background that they hit it, that when they get to that tipping point, that it creates that new level of reality. That's what people see. We don't see all the work behind the scenes. Take this podcast, for instance. The work we have to do behind the scenes to set it up and get everything in place. You're not seeing all the time I'm investing watching other YouTubers who are successful at getting bigger subscribers. You're not watching mentors. You're not watching. You don't know that I'm watching and I'm researching and learning and taking techniques and also seeing, well, if it was valuable or not. I mean, I could watch a 35-minute video and take note, and there's nothing in it for me. I've not wasted my time. I've just gone, okay, well, it might become relevant on a different day, or it might just take time to sink in, and then I'll go, oh, that's right, they said that, and that makes sense now. So, and it's the same with when I'm working with clients. I'm also always observing. So working one-on-one with students, I'm noticing how they change or how they react or what's happening to them during the process and seeing if there's a consistency, so that when I get another student, I can go, right, in week 2, when we do this, there's a likelihood these things are going to happen. So get ready. So I'm also learning and growing while I'm teaching. To me, I personally say that a teacher never believes they can be a student, not a teacher, but a teller. A true teacher knows that in any given time, the student can teach them, no matter their age, experience, because they can just say that one profound thing that can channel in the moment that makes the teacher go, yeah, I've never thought about it that way. And then a true teacher will incorporate it there immediately, and then the very next class, they'll teach that. So it's also about being open to that level of ability of growing, which is also an investment. So what we're really aiming for this particular podcast is to show you how much you're investing on a daily basis and the ways that you're investing, and to be more consciously aware of that, so that if any of it you realize, okay, well, by doing this every day, by eating McDonald's every day, that's certainly not investing in my health. And that explains why I've put on weight, or I've got acne, or I'm getting other issues, because I'm just flooding my body with sugar. And my body can't process that. I'm giving it far more than it can process, because I'm not saying sugar's a bad thing. Sugar's like pretty much every other food. You eat too much of it and your body can't process it, it's going to start storing it. It's going to start creating issues, because that's your body saying, I've got too much of this thing in my body that I can't process anymore. So, you're investing in that. And when you recognize that, you can make changes. that benefit your health. And when your health's better, your mind's better. When your mind's better, your emotions are better. When your emotions are better, your spirit's better. They all interconnect, mind, body, spirit. So if you're only ever working on one, it means you're not working on the other two. And they're going to be creating challenges. Words and how we talk about others is another way of investing in our ill health. Because our thoughts create our reality and our words bring that into the physical realm. What we speak, if we speak something consistently, if we're telling ourselves something consistently, well, I'm not worth this, I'm not worth that, I'm not valuable for this, the universe is going to reflect that back to you until you change. And then you change that through consistency and persistency and effort. I think that might be the third one, effort.
And truth be told, like your brain and your body and your energy doesn't know the difference between you talking about somebody else and you talking about yourself. So when you're bitching, when you're gossiping about something or someone else, I love your body, your energy, your brain thinks that's talking about you. So all of that affects you on a cellular level. And that is where, like, that's the true investment. So investing goes both ways. It goes towards the good stuff as well as the not so good stuff, right? So choose your pathway. Choose what you are investing in: time, money, energy, effort, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, and sexually. All of those aspects, because they are all required. They are all part of the human experience. And again, which pathway are you going to choose? And in one moment, you get to choose what you're investing in. And then knowing that that investment has a long-term outcome. Some of it's short-term, and then often, because we always want the instant gratification. Yeah, we're coming into a society where we want instant gratification. But then there's also the long goal. That instant gratification is going to build up. It's going to compound into a more greater long-term goal. So if you're, the little drink is going to end up having a toll on your liver. The once a month or once a blue moon drink, it's going to be okay, but your body's resilient enough and healthy enough to be able to sort that. Same with this stuff that you put in your mind and shifted that word very quickly, right? Depending on what you feel your mind, what you feel your heart, what you feel your body. Yeah, choose that pathway.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and this is why with our mentoring programs and our students, it's a minimum of 8 weeks. So we give people that, we bring them into that habit of persistency and consistency and teach them how to put the effort in. We send them away with homework.
Sacred play.
Sacred play, yeah. My student, because she didn't have a great habit of rest, so she's always go, go, go. So she's going towards burnout. A lot of the homework was go, right, you need to watch this movie. And I didn't realize consciously what I was doing until about a week. Well, she continued after the 8 weeks, and about week 12, it was like, now I know why I'm giving you. When the divine timing came in about the rest, it's like it made sense. Now I know why I've been giving you a lot of movies. It's so you know how to chill out, because I was tricking you to think you're learning something, which she was, because there's analogies and what's the word, allegories? That might not be the right word. Anyway, allegories, I think that's the word. Allegories and analogies and metaphors and all kinds of things in deep and meaningful films that when you put people in perspective to see them, it will sink in, but they're still ultimately still sat there chilling out, watching a movie. So if you would like to be coached, mentored, become a student, please reach out. The website's scrolling across the bottom. You can work with us together. We also do individuals, various mentoring programs, and it's always personally tailored to you specifically, because we know that every individual is different. Yes, we have a framework, but that can look everything like that or nothing like that. And it's personally tailored for you, and it's one-on-one. So you're not just watching a cookie cutter video that basically serves the umbrella, not the handle.
Beautiful. So please feel free to reach out. There'll be more information in the comments, and we are here to serve. And it is all about you living the most incredible, abundant life that you can, and you get to choose.
We can teach you how to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
So it becomes a consistent habit that empowers you till the end of days. Because once you've learned that habit, it's a habit you run every day.
Yeah, it's that beautiful.
Or invest positively, should we say. Because I can guarantee you're currently investing negatively.
In some capacity.
In some capacity, yeah.
All right, beautiful souls.
So that's where we'll leave it for this time around. We'll see you again in the near future. And thank you very much for watching. We appreciate you investing your time into watching us. And we'll see you again in the near future. Take care.
Namaste.